chemistry between Xaden and Violet is so good. I feel like this series is honestly what got me into reading romances. Why did I give this book a 5-star? Who was 30 years older than her? Hey guys, it's Amber. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing something a little different, and I'm going to be showing you guys 4 books that I gave 5-star that you have to read. Just so I can get this clear, these books that I gave a 5-star definitely differs between people and their taste in books. These are my opinions on the books and why I genuinely enjoyed them. If you guys notice anything a little different, I'm currently filming actually on my phone because my Canon broke. So until I get my Canon fixed, we're going to be filming on my phone. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So the first book we're going to start off with is actually right behind me. We're going to start off with Fourth Wing. This is a thick book. I think the thickest book I've ever read is the second one of this, which is Iron Flame. But for the first book of my 5-star list is Fourth Wing. So Fourth Wing, which is by Rebecca Yarros. I could totally be mispronouncing that. I'm sorry if I am, but this book is by Rebecca Yarros. So it's basically a fantasy novel that is set in a world where magic and dragons coexist, hence the dragon on the cover of the book. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read to you guys what this book is basically about. So the story follows Violet Sorgale, a physically weak but determined young woman who is forced into the military academy for dragon riders by the commanding general, aka her mother, instead of entering the scribe quadrant where she was to live a quiet life. However, in the writers quadrant, dragons don't necessarily bond with the weaker looking people, they kill them. With that being said, Violet, our main girl, Violet ends up becoming an easy target for people to kill off of the competition, and some people want to kill her just because of who her mom is, someone like our next character, Xaden Rorison. So Xaden is the most powerful wing leader of the Riders Quadrant. He's not only the most powerful, but also the most ruthless. With the war and death numbers rising, friends, enemies, and lovers all have their own agenda. Once you enter the Rider Quadrant, there's only 2 ways out: to graduate or to die. Okay, so the reasons why I gave this book specifically a 5-star, because first off, the chemistry between Xaden and Violet is so good. This is an enemies to romance book, so there's definitely gonna be some tension and also some chemistry between the 2 characters, and I literally died for these 2. Not many TikTok books have characters that have such great chemistry and tension when it's an enemies to lovers book, but this one, it was there. It was so good. Also, so many parts of this book had my jaw on the floor, including the cliffhanger at the end. This book does end with the cliffhanger, which leads into the second book, Iron Flame. So if you just want kind of like an inside look of this book, just think of Hunger Games x Divergent. That's literally what this book is, plus dragons that can talk. And yes, the dragons do talk. That kind of threw me off kind of at the beginning, but the dragons' dialogues are honestly pretty funny, so I kind of enjoyed the dragons talking. The one thing I actually knew for certain why this book is going to be a 5-star for me is because they didn't make the main girl act like she was fragile and naive, even though they describe her as like the weaker one and the smaller one of everyone else. Her herself, she didn't stand for that. Like she actually had a really good personality, and she wasn't dumb like typical Wattpad YN characters. So I was really thankful that she actually had a personality. Also, the way this author described Xaden, I see why he is so many people's book boyfriend. Like, yeah, that is why I give this book, Fourth Wing, a 5-star. Mainly for like the chemistry and tension between like all the characters. It's just so good. So definitely read this, guys, Fourth Wing. Okay, the next book, or should I say books, is actually a book series called the Selection Series. For this 5-star review, I'm only gonna be talking about the first 3 because I think the first 3 are actually the best ones out of all 5. These 2, they're like okay. I read them. I gave them like a 3.5 maybe, or 4. I don't really remember, but I also don't really remember what they're about. But these 3, I can confidently say is a 5-star. Let me go ahead and tell you guys what they're about. The author of these books is Kiera, and basically it is 35 girls have a chance to escape the life laid out for them from birth, to be swept up in a world of gowns and jewels, and to compete for the heart of Prince Maxon. So basically it's The Bachelor, but add tiaras and royalty and a really hot prince. However, for the main character, America Singh, being a part of the competition was a nightmare. It meant turning her back on her secret love with Aspen, who was a caste below her. So the caste system is basically the same as like the caste system in Hunger Games. Number 1 was like royalty, and number 13 was like people that are really poor and they could barely like afford bread, and a place to sleep in. America was 12 and Aspen was 13. So if America married Aspen, she would go from being a 12 to 13. Sooner or later, America, our main character, has to navigate between wanting to be true to her lover, Aspen, and being in the castle only for the food, or slowly getting to know and falling in love who Prince Maxon is behind this whole prince persona. Let's get into why I gave this book series, specifically the first 3, a 5-star. First of all, my comfort series. I always read these 3. I actually read all three of them like end of last year. Just the way it's written is super like good, and the way they describe Maxon is good, and everything about this series is good. I think in total I've read this book 5 times. I think the first time I read it I was in 5th grade, so I was 10 years old. That's when I literally fell in love with the series. I didn't even know there's other books. I just fell in love with it, and I haven't let it go out of my heart since then. Also, not to mention Maxon, Prince Maxon, the main character in this first 3, is my definition of the book boyfriend. He is so perfect, and the way the author described him and narrated him, made him look like, everything about him is perfect. This series, these 3 definitely got me into reading romance books. And not to mention, there's also so much drama among all the girls trying to fight for Prince Maxon's heart. The drama is actually crazy, and I think this book actually deserves like a 6-star. It's actually such a comfort like series for me. So the next book I'm going to be showing you guys why I give a 5-star kind of is a little controversial, just because there is like no in between with this book. You either hate it or you love it, and that book is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I personally gave this a 5-star, and I'll tell you after I tell you guys what this book is basically about. So like I said, this book is by Colleen Hoover. It follows a main character named Lily Bloom, whose mission it is to open a flower shop. Ironic how her name is Lily Bloom and she wants to open the flower shop. That's where she moves to Boston, hoping she can achieve her dream of opening her dream shop. Boston, however, is the place where she also meets a neurosurgeon named Ryle on her favorite rooftop where she likes to relax. So Ryle, the main male character, is assertive, stubborn, and maybe even arrogant, but he's also sensitive, brilliant, and has a soft spot for Lily. So it's kind of like that bad boy, only soft for the main character. Lily has even made a difference in his no dating rule, and she's always wondered why his life is the way it is, and why he has a no dating rule, why he seems very angry and dark on the outside, but on the inside he's a pretty kind guy. That is until Lily's first love, Atlas, comes into the picture. Atlas is basically her kind-hearted spirit, her protector. After Atlas reappears, everything Lily built up with Ryle is suddenly threatened. And by threatened, if you mean abuse and toxic relationships, that's this book. So trigger warning if you're gonna read it. It talks about abuse and toxic relationships. Now, why did I give this book a 5-star? So despite like people's opinions on Colleen Hoover's writing techniques and styles, I feel like I thoroughly enjoyed this book because of the message behind it. So even though the book does on paper talk about Lily trying to open a flower shop, Lily trying to, you know, meet this guy randomly on her roof, like this book really isn't about a girl opening her flower shop in Boston because, you know, she wants to start new. So I feel like the real message behind this book was to open the eyes of the readers when it came to being in a toxic relationship. I know a lot of people that hate on it say the dialogue is cringy and that the names are like unrealistic. I mean, I just feel like people need to remember that these characters in this book, like Lily Bloom, she is a fictional character. So obviously her name, you know, it's a little interesting how her name is Lily Blossom Bloom and she wants to open a flower shop. So I feel like the names really did not bother me at all. So also, despite Lily going back to Ryle after he has abused her like physically, it kind of shows the true nature and feeling of someone who could be going through a toxic relationship. They have thoughts in their head that are like, next time they'll be fine, they won't act like this, or like they don't normally act like this. Like even though Lily Bloom herself doesn't say these quotes what I just said, you can just kind of tell that's the way she's feeling. This book also brought some tears to my eyes because I think it did do the job at opening my eyes to the thought of people who are actually going through similar situations as Lily and Ryle. So yeah, that's the reason why I give this book a 5-star. Hey guys, I love how on the best book my video decides to be corrupted. Thank you, I love you. Thank you, phone. Thank you. But anyways, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the last book review on my laptop while I'm editing this because I'm not gonna be doing makeup. I'm not gonna be getting all dolled up and dressed up. I'm too lazy to do that. So let's get into the last and the best book. So honestly, out of all the books I've read, I have to give this book like the book of the year, and honestly maybe even the book of like last year too, because I don't even think I read any like books last year that were better than this book. So this book I'm going to show you guys is the best book for years and years to come. So this book is 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. This is the same author as The Kite Runner, and a lot of people read The Kite Runner for like school, so you might recognize the author. Going into this, I already read The Kite Runner and I found out that the author also made this book, which was also really popular, so I kind of knew I was gonna like it because I really like The Kite Runner. This book, guys, let me go ahead and tell you guys what it's about. So this book starts off with our first female main character named Mariam. At age 15, she was sent to Kabul, Afghanistan, where she was forced to marry the troubled and bitter man named Rashid, who was also 30 years older than her. However, 2 decades later, tragedy strikes on our second female main character, 15-year-old Layla, who must leave her home and join Mariam's unhappy household. Soon, Mariam's and Layla's relationship goes from being enemies to sisters to mother and daughter. With the rule of Taliban over Afghanistan grows more violent, life becomes a desperate struggle against starvation, brutality, and fear. However, despite all odds in life, love is what triumphs over death and destruction. So this story explores themes of love, sacrifice, friendship, and the struggles of women in Afghan society, offering a powerful impact on the war and gender inequality. Okay guys, let's get into why I give this book a 5-star, and honestly even a 6-star, like for real. Honestly, right at the beginning from like Mariam's story, I just knew this book was going to be a 5-star. So how this book is broken up is basically the first section is Mariam's life, the second section is Layla's life, and then the third section is both of their lives together. So this is a double POV type of book, and honestly I love those type of books because you kind of get the insides of what the other characters are thinking and their POV on like different things. The amount of times I was caught crying while reading this book was crazy. The way the author wrote the female main characters is so beautiful, and also the way the author wrote Tariq, who is a part of Layla's story, also becomes very important character towards the end of the book. The way the author wrote him and described him like got me obsessed with everything about him. Every time Tariq was on a page, I was eating that shit up. I was like, more, give me more. The ending of this book, guys, literally had me sobbing in like a heartfelt way, but like it literally had me like gasping for air. Let me just say, after I finished reading this book, I was talking about the ending and thinking about the ending literally non-stop. It's one of those endings that ends so good. Like, anyways guys, I think we ended this video really strong because this book is such a good way to end this video, because this book I feel like is the best book out of all the ones I talked about today. And like, what are the odds like the video had to be corrupted on the best book? Whatever, I'm not complaining. This just shows that I need a new camera soon, because this one, it's not gonna work out. Anyways guys, this is where I'm going to be ending this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching my 5-star book review. I'm really into like booktok and like finding different books and underrated books also, so I will hopefully be reading more and hopefully be giving you guys another updated 5-star review soon. But anyways guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.